All right, let's see if we can do a Google Workspace log acquisition under 10 minutes. There's the challenge. Now, if you're ever in a situation where you need to acquire logs from Google Workspace because you're doing an investigation, I would suggest to not use the GUI. So the admin interface from Google is nice for quickly searching through some data. However, when you start exporting out data, it has some limitations on the amount of logs you can get out. So therefore, I suggest you use the best Google Workspace log acquisition tool there is, and that is the tool called ALFA that we developed. It comes with the price tag of $0, so it should be affordable for everyone. So let's do it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our system. I suggest you use a Linux or a Mac system. That's the one that we've tested and they work. And you go into your directory where you want to download the tool. You do git clone, and then you download Alpha. So that is what we're going to do. Now we have a directory called Alpha. So we're going to go inside Alpha. And then what we need to do is install some requirements. So the tool has some requirements around how to for it to be able to acquire the data and to process it. I suggest you do this in a Python virtual environment. So let's do that. So we're going to create a virtual environment called Alpha. Oops, little mistake. My aliases are not working, so let's do it like this. All right, so we've created the virtual environment and now we need to activate it. So let's do source alpha bin activate. And now, as you can see here, we have a virtual alpha environment in which we can install the requirements. So how do you install the requirements? We are going to run pip. We can call pip install -e dot, so then it will install the requirements using the requirements file in this directory. All right, this is going to go. I'm going to pause it, and when it's done, we'll continue this video. So it is done. Let's clear the screen and have some more space. So now we are almost ready to go. If we do an ls, we can see the directory. The first thing we need to do is we need to initialize a project. So the idea behind is that you can do, well, multiple acquisitions. So we're going to initialize a project alpha init, and let's do demo. So we can create a demo directory. What that will do is it will create a directory for us, which has some placeholders that we can then fill in. So let's wait until it's completed. Now we have a new directory. So as the script is saying, we have initialized a project in my directory called demo. The only thing we need to do is add this credentials.json file in. So let's see, cd demo ls inside the config directory. It has one file, and if you inspect that file, so let's do that, you can see what are the logs that we're going to acquire. So we're going to leave this to default, and now we need to add in credentials. So we're going to switch over to the GUI, and I'm going to explain you how you can get the right credentials to be able to do an acquisition. All right, it is time to set up our credentials for the log acquisition. How do we do that? Well, it's a bit interesting. If you want to do a log acquisition from Google Workspace, we actually have to use Google Cloud to enable the right APIs and set up the permissions. So what you're seeing here is I'm logged into the Google Cloud. So you need to do that for your client in their environment. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to click on the organization and you're going to create a new project. Let's call this project acquisition demo. Okay, and we're going to create a project. It's going to take some time. As you can see, I did some other stuff before. So we're going to give this a few seconds and then we're going to continue. All right, the project is created. We're going to click on select project. And we are now in a different scope. As you can see in the top here, you can see we are now in acquisition demo. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to enable the API. How do we do that, the API enablement? We're going to go on the left-hand side, click on this hamburger menu, and you're going to go to APIs and services. Now you need to click enable APIs and services, and you need to search for the admin SDK, because that is where that's what we have to use if you want to programmatically interact with the Google Workspace, as you can read here. So we're going to click on that and we're going to enable it. Once it's enabled, we need a way to be able to talk to this API. So we're going to use what we call an OAuth application for that. So let's do that as well. It immediately says to use this API, you may need credentials. So just click create credentials. Now, what is the API? Well, this is going to be admin SDK. We're going to need to click here on user data because we're going to create an OAuth client. You can also do this using a service account, but I would not recommend this because service accounts oftentimes are quite dangerous and they get lost, etc. So I would go for the OAuth client. Next, I'm going to give it a name. This can be whatever you like. So let's do Invictus demo. We need to add in the support email, so we'll do my email address. You can add a logo, but you don't need that. An email address for support, we can do info. I'm going to continue. This is all not that important. You do not need to specify your scopes here. Our app that we'll use for acquisition will do that. So we can ignore this. I'm going to click save and continue. Now, what kind of application do we need? You should set this to a web application. So that's the flow that we will be using. Then you need to name your OAuth client. So this is on top of the name you already created for the app. So we'll just do or ALFA. That's the tool name. Now, which is very important, we need to set up a redirect URI. So why do we need it? So once you've authenticated, we need to send the script somewhere, or I should say the flow, the authentication flow. So we're going to just do HTTP localhost port 8089 / and that should be it. Now we hit create. So what happens next is a set of credentials will be created for you. You need to download this JSON file and you need to give that to ALFA. So now we're going to download the file. Download. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to do credentials. I'm going to store it in the directory of ALFA, in the demo directory, in the config directory, and that's it. We are done. Hit the done, and now we can switch back to the command line to do our acquisition. So I have done the acquisition already, but I wanted to show you what I did. So inside the config directory, we should put in our credentials.json file, which is the one that you grabbed from the GUI. Then what you're going to do next is run ALFA acquire. So let me see that, ALFA acquire. This is going to automatically let you log in. The user or the permissions you need to have for the user that's consenting to the application is admin.repos.audit.read only. That is the specific permission you need. So once you've done that, the tool will acquire all different logs. For the demo, I've only acquired admin log, which is pretty big. Calendar, mobile, chat, GCP, Keep Me, Jamboard, all the good stuff. And as you saw, well, it collected a little bit over 100k events in a few minutes. So that is under 10 minutes how you can do a log acquisition. So summary, install the tool and the requirements in your Python virtual environment, set up your OAuth app in Google Cloud, and then run ALFA acquire. And then you are done and you can start your analysis.